Is it on air? Oh, hello. Hi, good morning. Oh, it's good afternoon, everybody. My name is Zina Sultana, and welcome to Radio Works World. I'll be your show host today. Host today, and I'm here to share my story with you and just a little bit about myself, who I am, where I started, and how I got to where I am today. So, my name is Zina Sultana. I am in the property industry. I deal with property development within London. So essentially, we buy and sell properties, we refurb, build new builds, whatever it may be. We deal with investors from here in the UK, Far East, and Middle East, placing your funds into development opportunities in London. Myself, I started in property 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I had absolutely no idea about property. If you had asked me any question, the fact that I lived in a four-bedroom house, and that was it. I was very fortunate enough to have met my business partner 3 years ago. We met through a mutual contact of ours, and he's always been into property for over 15, 20 years now, actually. And, he approached me because he knew I was good at sales and marketing, and I'm a very, much a people's person. I connect really well with all kinds of people from all over the world. So he took me on board and to ask me to join him in his company and come on board as the business development manager. So I guess being a business development manager, it means that I have to how. So I didn't quite understand what it meant, but whatever it was, I was just very grateful because at that point in my life, I had left work because my mum had developed breast cancer. So I stayed with her for 6 months to, help her with her treatments and everything. She's fine now, thank God. This was a few years ago. So I was unemployed out of choice. And then I met my business partner, and and we just started our company, London Capital Assets. And essentially, my job was to build the company, grow the company, and increase its revenue and bring in its revenue. So what I would do is I would find investors because we don't have or we didn't have millions and millions of pounds of our own money to place into developments or into projects in London. I would go out there networking. Um, as many times as I possibly could. I would attend every single networking event I could find in London, whether it be property networking event, business, finance, angel, independent ones, you name it, I was there. I would attend on average 3 to 4 networking events a week. I did that for 18 months straight. I loved it. Was the biggest challenge ever because it was the first time me networking, first time in property. I didn't know how to deal with investors. I didn't know what investors wanted or what they looked for in me as an individual or my company. And this is something I had to learn over time through trial and error. And of course, I had my business partner with me as well, and he would mentor me along the way. So he's amazing, and I really appreciate him for that. So eventually, I figured out what I had to do. I created a system for myself. So I documented every single action step I took to get to where I am today. So, and a lot of people say, and I'm sure you've all heard this before, it only takes one deal, one opportunity to make a difference. And that's exactly what happened with me. So as soon as I found my one investor, I was so happy. It was the happiest moment of my life. And they say that either making your first million or even the same as raising your first million through investors is the most difficult thing you could possibly do. And that is absolutely the case. It was the most difficult thing I had to do, raising my first £1 million through investors. After the first million, raising my second, third, fourth, and now I've raised over £21 million of pure JV finance, which is joint venture finance through investors, has possibly been the easiest thing in my career. Why? Because I had developed a system. I understood what investors wanted and needed from me as an individual and from my company. And essentially, what I had to do is for myself and for my company, I had to become investor ready. So what that means is, every investor, they have a specific goal or criteria that, and we must meet their goal and criteria. So if you're investor ready, it allows the investor to conduct their due diligence against you as an individual or your company. So essentially what they want to know is, who is the company, what does the company do, how does the company make money, what people are involved in the company, so your team, because they have a huge influence in the running of the business, how they can invest, and finally how they can exit the investment safely. So that's in a nutshell as to, you know, what I do, which is dealing with investors on a day-to-day basis. I've been doing this for over 3 years now. In the past 18 months alone, I have raised over 21 million pounds of pure joint venture finance, which is leveraging other people's money and placing them into development opportunities here in London with my company. It wasn't always as easy as that for me personally. Growing up, you know, I come from a very large family. My background is my parents are from Bangladesh, so we have a huge family, and I absolutely love my family. We have There's 8 of us, 8 siblings, and I'm the second youngest. So I'm the seventh child, I believe. Yes, I'm the seventh child. I'm the second youngest. So growing up, I had a huge family. My family, you know, was very supportive and loving of each other, and you know, it was a great environment, and I loved having them around. And obviously, as the years went by one, they started leaving the house, and now it's just me and my parents. And I am a full-time carer of my dad, so I'm very fortunate to be in this position where I am today in my business, whereby I can work my personal life or my family life around my work and my business. My dad, he has a condition. He's had it for several years now, and it's just deteriorated over the years. So he has a condition called pure autonomic failure, which, you know, it's controlled by the central nervous system, I believe. I'm not a doctor, so I could be saying a couple of things wrong, so please forgive me for that. But as far as I'm as far as I'm concerned, it's controlled by the central nervous system, and it affects his just his balance, and his blood pressure is so dangerously low that he can collapse anywhere and everywhere. And we've had so many incidences where he's fallen down the stairs, in the bathroom, kitchen, getting interrupted, in the bathroom, in the kitchen, and yeah, and he actually had a near-death experience earlier this year, which was the most frightening thing ever. So my family is very important to me. I look after my parents. They live with me, or I live with them, whichever way you want to put it. And I'm very fortunate to have that opportunity. I'm very fortunate to be able to be in a position whereby I can actually provide for my parents, and I can actually support them in any way that they need. My parents obviously are originally from Bangladesh. When they came to this country, neither of them had an education, and they didn't have the privilege of actually going out there to educate themselves in any way, shape, or form. Their priority, or my dad's priority, was to earn a living. So he built up his businesses, and then he started working. And because of the fact that he was denied the chance of an education, he made sure that every single one of our siblings, we went through every single education stage you can possibly think of. We are all highly, well, I would say they are all highly educated. So that was very important for them, for my parents, and to myself, and to all of my siblings. All of my siblings, they're in the education industry. A lot of them, you know, they've got higher education, masters and PhD as well, and they're all in the education industry. For me, I was sorry. For me, I was very different compared to the rest of my family. I was never really interested in education, should I say. I was never really interested in education. So I was your average C grade student. Yeah, and it was, you know, I used to get average grades, and that was that. I was just never really interested. It wasn't up until I got to university where I discovered a passion for education, and a passion to do something that I truly loved. And I actually studied forensic science at Queen Mary University of London. It was the best thing I've ever done. I absolutely loved it, but unfortunately, I couldn't graduate. I became really unwell in my second year. I actually, sorry, I actually suffered from anorexia in my second year of university, so I must have been 19 then. Yeah, so because of that, I had to leave university. I wasn't able to sit my final exams, and I wasn't able to move on to my final year and then graduate. So I was really, really unwell. So I suffered from anorexia for about 3 years, I would say. But I sought help immediately. You know, I had a lot of counselors, psychiatrists, dietitian, nutritionist, you name it. Every single type of therapists out there, I had them on my books, and they really helped me. And then I was able to help myself, and it was at that point in my life where I thought, you know, I felt let down by the education system, because I felt as though they didn't support me to get back into university or carry on with my education and my degree. And I provided them with all the medical notes. So I don't know what more I could have done. I gave them all the psychiatrist reports, therapist reports, doctors' medical notes, you name it, and none of that helped. And they said, look, they just simply said I couldn't continue with university. If I had to restart right from the beginning, and I just didn't want to do that. So that was a very, very difficult part in my life, very tough, moment in my life. But at the same time, obviously, in retrospect, looking back, it's it was a blessing in disguise, because it's those moments, those defining moments, that can either make or break you. And I chose for it to actually make me. I didn't let my illness overtake me or overpower me in any way, shape, or form. It made me stronger. It made me who I am today. It made me resilient. So I decided that I'll never be in a position whereby an individual or an organization will ever dictate my future. So at that point, it was the university that dictated my future, saying, no, you're not good enough, you are unwell, you're not mentally stable, you have to leave university. So that was heartbreaking for me. Now I will never be in that position. So working for someone else, obviously I was employed working for someone else for a couple of years, but as soon as I could get out, I left, and obviously met my business partner and started my own company. So I can never work for someone else, because I dictate my own future. I determine how successful I'm going to be, and what the future holds for me. That's a little bit about my background. That's a little bit about me, really. What else can I say about myself? I'm very passionate about what I do, about dealing with investors and dealing with my projects. Essentially, what I do here in London, I run a portfolio of over £21 million worth of properties in London, because I've raised over £21 million worth of pure finance. And the number one question I get asked on a day-to-day basis now is, Zina, how do you do what you do? How do you find the investors? And most importantly, how do you secure them? And it's very difficult. I must admit, it's very difficult meeting everyone on a one-to-one basis, because it takes about an hour and a half out of my day each time, and there's so many people that want my help. So what I've decided to do is I've created a group, or a meetup, should I say, whereby I put a post out there on Facebook, on social media, and I get everyone together once a month or twice a month, and I simply tell you what I do. I go through a step-by-step guide as to how I find investors, ranging from who are they and where do I find them, what to say and what not to say, because that's very important, how to impress your investors, because there's so many people out there looking for investors. So why you? So you must be able to stand out and be able to impress them, because investors are always looking for reasons as to why not to do business with you. So I think it's very important that you must dress to impress. Beyond that, that will only get your foot in the door, and that's all we need. Beyond that, it's down to your competency levels, your intellect, and what you can add to them, how much value you can add to them, about how to pitch them, and also how to close them as well. And I've developed an entire system and actually run my own programs based on that. And I'm looking to create as many success stories as I can this year, helping other people find their own investors, raise their own millions, because you don't want to rely on me to find investors. I will give you the guidance you need. I'll give you all the tools and tactics to enable you to go out there and raise your own millions. This a couple of months ago, and it's really escalated, really escalated. And I'm doing a lot of public speaking now as well. I was on stage, I was out in Orlando in November, so only a couple of months ago, and I spoke in front of 1,500 people, speaking about how to raise $1 million, how to find investors, and how to secure them. From that's given me so much exposure. With that in Orlando, my coach is somebody called JT Fox, and he's the world's #1 wealth coach. So I worked quite closely with him and his coaches and his team. From that's given me a lot of exposure, and it's connected me with the right individuals, and now through that alone, meeting the right people, being invited to the right parties and the right events, I met I met some amazing, amazing individuals. And now I'm on the cover. Well, I'll be featured in January's cover for Global Woman of the Year. And I'll be nominated for an award as well, the year or entrepreneur of the year, and I can't wait for that. So that was amazing. And there's just, and that's just the beginning, really. And I feel as though I'm just right at the beginning of my career. Yes, I've been involved in it for over 3 years now, but it just feels as though this is just the beginning. There's just so much more to come, and I cannot wait for this year and just to share with the world, you know, my message and what's to come within 2017 and within the next 3 to 5 years, because I've got huge goals and huge ambitions, and it's going to be a very exciting time in my life, and I'm going to be sharing it with everyone, because I'm, you know, Facebook, with my followers and people who love and support me, and I genuinely appreciate them. Yeah, and that's it, really. I'm not too sure what else to say about myself. So Marina, over to you, I think.
Well, I have kind of a million questions for you.
Yeah.
Perhaps you have to come back quickly. So Zina, what is the best day you had in 2016?
Best day I had in 2016. Oh, there's so many. Oh my goodness. Okay, one of them would have to be when I was speaking on stage at Orlando in front of 1,500 people from over 60 different countries. That was amazing. Another one would be the first time I went to Dubai this year with a client of mine. So he introduced me to some of his contacts, which was amazing, in Dubai. And then I would say they were the two most defining moments. Flying out to Dubai with a client of mine, and he introduced me to all of his high net worth, ultra rich, you know, contacts, who now obviously are looking to invest with me, and then actually speaking on stage in Orlando, which has boosted my profile so much.
So Zina, in 2017, what needs to happen for you to say it was painful, it was dreadful, it was the worst time, but I made it and it's worth it?
Mm-hmm. Okay, what needs to happen? Well, really and truly, and I did say this earlier when I first started this conversation with you, I would say I'm looking to make a difference. I'm looking to change people's lives. I'm looking to create success stories. You know, I've got my success. I've got my success with my investors, raising money, funding my developments in London. Now I want to help other people do that. We need to find money. Why do we need to raise capital? It's because it's either we don't have enough of our own, or we just want to make more money, more profit. And I want to help other people achieve that so they can achieve financial freedom. That in itself will make such a huge difference to me in my life, to make me feel as though, yes, I've made a difference, and 2017 has been great. And I'm also looking to do as many public speaking events as possible. And I've been booked in to do 4 so far. So I've got one on, what day is it today? On the 18th, which is on
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. Yeah, so I've got one tomorrow, and then I've got one on the 22nd, and then I've got one in February, and then I've got one in March, and then I've got one in May. So I've been getting booked in, Marina, and that's been amazing. People are and otherwise they wouldn't approach me. So that in itself is amazing.
So what about the 31st of January? It's a Tuesday. We have our Make the News monthly gathering where people are sharing their story to inspire other people. So write that down, make it happen.
Well,
and what is the key message for our listeners today?
Key message, I would say, key message would be never to give up, honestly. And I know it's very cliche, and I know probably everybody says that, but I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, you know, I'm only 27 years old, and I've been through so much more than any 27-year-old should ever go through. And it's not fair that I had to go through so much hurdles and you know, so many downtimes, but it's because of the fact that I continuously believed in myself. I continuously believed in my vision and my future, and I never gave up. that I'm able to stand here today. I'm able to sit here speaking to you. I'm able to go out there and spread my message. You know, so never give up. Doesn't matter how difficult it gets, and it will get so difficult. It's unbelievable. So difficult that you just want to give up. You want to run away. And I've done that before. I've just completely run away from the world, and you know, I just disappeared. But doing that, it's not going to help you get you to where you want to be, and it's not going to help you achieve your goals. You need to be true to yourself. You need to be able to love yourself in order to love others, and in order to give back and achieve your full potential.
Wonderful. So from both of us, until next time, because it is going to be a next time soon, we wish you a great week ahead, and never give up. Goodbye.
Never. Thank you, Marina. Goodbye.